Well, good evening. It is Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 7 p.m. Meeting number 5342. Will the clerk please call roll?
Mayor Daniel Polk.
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burns.
Here.
Commissioner Rick Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Rainer.
Here.
Commissioner Chuck Taylor absent.
At this time, we'll have invocation by Ada Bogart from the Kansas Soldiers Home.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't hear her well. Okay, well, I was asking about any prayer concerns, and everybody's general consensus was we need rain. So let's go to the Lord and ask Him for some rain. So, Father God, I just thank you for this opportunity to come before the commission and as a representative of yours, and I'm asking you, Lord, to give us some rain, not bad storms or anything like that, but to just give us the moisture that we need so that the farmers will have hope and look forward to whatever is needed for the coming year. And also, Lord, I lift up the agenda to you, and you know the matters that are most important. So I'm asking you to move on them and provide the finances that might be needed on some of them. And Lord, give each one wisdom and open up their eyes of understanding and their ears to hear what you want them to do for the city of Dodge City. Because, Lord, we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. And so it's a privilege to live here. And I do thank you for that. And Lord, you said that if your people would humble themselves and pray, that you would heal our land. So, Lord, I'm asking your people to humble themselves, get down on their knees, and seek you. And that, Lord God, you will hear and that you will heal our land because we sorely need all the help you can give us. And I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. This time, will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I would seek approval of the agenda as presented, or if any commissioner would like to pull anything.
Your Honor, I'd move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We have no petitions or proclamations. At this time, we'll have the visitor section, a limit of 5 minutes per individual, 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until next city commission meeting unless an emergency situation does exist. Tonight during this session, at the visitor section, we will have Wichita State University Mini PA certificate presentation by Dr. Mercy Yamiri and Dr. Stephanie Newbolt.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Newbold. I am the director of the Hugo Wall School of Public Affairs at Wichita State, and I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Mercy Umeri, who runs the Mini MPA program. And we are here this evening to recognize two civil servants from the city of Dodge City who have successfully completed all of the requirements of the Mini MPA. And we are so proud of their achievements and their contributions to this program. We would also like to thank two of our distinguished alumni, Nick Hernandez, Melissa McCoy, who are proud supporters, and we want to thank them for all of their continued contributions to Hugo Wall. So when I call our names, we're going to have our two candidates come up. John Abel. And Rylan Lacey. Thank you for having us here, and thank you for supporting our program. It does a great job, and we're so happy that Dodge City is able to support it and bring public administrators to Wichita State for this initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and congratulations to both of you.
Absolutely.
With our WSU representatives and with our commission, that would be great.
Everybody loves a good photo op, right? I guess get in the center.
Get together there. Get in the picture. Everybody go over just a little bit. All right, 1, 2, 3. Cheese. 4. Perfect. Thank you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having us. Thanks. Thank you guys. Thank you for having us. Bye.
At this time, if there's any other visitors that would like to come forward. Seeing none, we'll close the visitor section and move on to the consent calendar.
Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Next up, we have ordinances and resolutions. Up first, we have resolution number 2026-11, a resolution for the temporary suspension and waiver of certain provision of ordinance number 2838 and the 2018 International Fire Code pertaining to the discharge of fireworks within the city limits of Dodge City, Kansas. Report by Chief Bradley Hines.
Good evening, Mayor Poe, Commission. I'm asking for your approval of the resolution 2026-11 of the temporary suspension of the ban on the discharge of consumer fireworks within the city of Dodge City. This would provide 4 days, a limited time frame for the public to discharge their fireworks for Independence Day. The days I'm asking for is July 2nd, July 3rd, July 4th, July 5th. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday between the hours of 10 a.m. and 11 p.m. With the moisture we got and things greening up, we don't really see a concern with it. So at this point, if you got any questions, we've done this in the past, and it's not, with the moisture, we just don't feel it's that dry right now, so we think we're good.
Why Thursday night?
What's up?
Why Thursday night?
I thought people would be off work and they'd set them off anyway, so I thought the day before. We've done it in the past for 4 days, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. I thought they're going to be home too. They're going to be shooting them either way. So.
Yeah, problem is we used to do 2 days, the 3rd and the 4th, or we did the 4th and the 5th. And we stretched it out to 3 days. Now we're almost always stretching it to 4 days, and I guess I'd like to keep it to 3 days as opposed to 4 days and drop Thursday if it was.
Thursday, just do the 3rd, 4th.
That'd be my choice, but that doesn't mean everybody else is that way. There's a lot of people that, I know there's a lot of people who shoot fireworks, and I understand they're going to shoot them regardless of what our ordinance says, but there are a significant number of people that this affects their pets and just affects their well-being with the amount of fireworks that go off in the evenings. It's unrelenting on my block. They're going to start mid-afternoon and they're not going to finish until midnight to 1 o'clock,
Very late,
So,
Chief Hines, when does the sale of fireworks actually begin?
Like 2 weeks before that. Honestly, I don't have a date, but roughly.
it's a way, yeah, they're already bought them, so.
I know that's the other thing that we have to contend with too, is just the length of the sale period. And we're going to be having our police officers out there dodging for 2 weeks before. And
Any other questions for Chief Hines or any other comments? Any action?
You wanted to amend this, Rick, or what?
Hey, you guys.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-11 as presented.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 3-1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Chief.
Next up, we have unfinished business.
Your Honor, I'm going to recuse myself from this.
Okay. Our unfinished business tonight is approval of acquisition of water rights from JR Farms and Reinert Partnerships. Report by Nick Hernandez, City Manager.
Mayor Commissioners, we talked a little bit about study session last meeting, and of course, during the last meeting, the commission tabled this item to gather more information from staff. We've had the opportunity to visit with several of you commissioners since the last meeting, and we'd be happy to stand to answer any questions that you may have in regards to this contract.
Can you give me a 10,000-foot overview of what we're signing tonight? Just kind of hit the high points.
So basically, this agreement is for a 20-year purchase, over 20-year purchase with 25% down at 3,732 acre-feet of water rights at $2,679.53 per acre-foot, equals $10 million. $2.5 million to be paid up front, and then the remainder of 7.5 would be paid out over the 20-year period at 3.5% interest rate. The city can, at any time, pay those off early. If we develop the water rights, or if we plan to develop the water rights, at that point is when we have to purchase those water rights before we develop the well. And we can do that in any increments whatsoever. There is a leaseback portion in this where we can lease the water rights that we have purchased already back to the farmer for his utilization. But I think in discussions that we've had previously, our intention is not to allow them to be irrigated and basically to be just go into like a conservation type mode until we're ready to actually utilize them in the with the well and the development of the well. And that's pretty much the 10,000-foot view.
The lease back, so at the point of closing, you'll have 25% owning of the total water rights?
That's correct.
Or are you saying that this water right is purchased and then the other water rights are available for his use to farm with, I guess?
We'll have purchased 25% of the water rights up front. And
Of total, or just a certain well, and then we'll just move as
Well, the leaseback would apply to rights that have not been converted to solely municipal use yet.
Okay.
So it would apply to, when we close, we will own all of the water rights, but
Yeah.
as far as conversion and use, that would depend on DWR's approval.
Right.
So the contract requires us to apply for dual use, and if we don't get dual use, then we basically pay to play. So we get to convert everything that we have on a pro rata basis paid for.
Okay, that was my question.
And then everything else would be available for the lease back until it's been converted to municipal use.
Okay. Okay, there was something else. I think that was the bigger version of it. KWTA doesn't apply to this purchase price because we're within the distance of?
That's correct. Yeah, it's our understanding that KWTA does not apply to this purchase. If DWR thought that was different at any point, we would work with them on that, but.
What kind of conversations have we had with DWR on this?
Counsel for the seller has a relationship with DWR and has had preliminary conversations with them about the dual use application. And they have indicated support for that plan. They, I believe, are in the process of pulling the actual water files, but there's been no worries that we would be subject to those stricter regulations.
Okay. And there's 1,100-ish acre feet in Gray County?
Yeah, approximately about half of the water rights are in Gray County and the other portion is in Ford.
So what's involved with DWR to transfer or move that water to our system? Anything?
No, it'd be no different than what it is for any other water rights.
Okay.
The only factor is there is a different conversion factor. I believe for Ford County, it's 89.4%. In Gray County, it's 89.3%, and that's
Okay.
the only difference.
Okay.
And that basically means we would have the opportunity to own or pump up to 89 point whatever percent of the water rights we're buying based on whether we're buying them in Ford or Gray.
That is correct. And technically, you still own the water rights, you just can pump up to that conversion factor.
Yeah, and that's a conservation thing that's been in place for years, I think.
What year did that go into play, Ray? Do you remember? Or even
The
Corey?
actual conservation, that percentage is only maybe 3 or 4 years old. Before that, it was a calculation based on the amount of acres authorized and what it took to grow corn.
Yeah, the city of Dodge City, I think we have around 11,000 acre feet of water rights, but we only perfected, I believe, around 7,300 acre feet of water rights, so we can actually pump out the 11,000 acres that we own.
Okay, off the subject of, but going in that path, are there water rights that we currently own that we could apply for the newer version of application and maybe obtain more rights to pump? Or is that locked in from when we did the transaction?
It's locked in. We actually worked with the Kansas Water Office and Division of Water Resources to try to allow us to pump those existing water rights more because of the new conversion factor. And they said absolutely not. That those rights were basically, we combined all those rights into basically one large water file. And at that time, during the perfection period, since we were conserving so much water, and that's why we bought so many water rights, was to conserve them, it actually was detrimental to us in the long haul. And
Okay.
that's why we were only able to basically convert that 11,000 of purchased acres to 7,300 acre feet.
Okay, and one last question, it was more on cure. So this is obviously gonna be a while before we utilize these acre feet of water. What happens in the time frame in between if something happens geologically that those water rights aren't, the pumping ability isn't there? Is any cure for us, or we have taken this liability on just when we make this purchase?
After closing, we will own the rights and the risk will be ours.
Okay. And that's not significantly different than any other time, right? I mean, that's what we normally do.
No,
That's
that's
what we
correct.
normally do, yes.
Okay.
And we do have a pretty significant confidence in the availability of those rights, given that there's basically 2 studies that have been done on those rights and in that area. One performed by Division of Water Resources, well, GMD3, and then there's an independent one that was done by a hydrogeologist back in the late 2008, 2009 timeframe.
Can I ask one more question?
Oh, yeah.
The email that you sent us with the water management plan that was done in April 2025, have we seen that before? Have you sent that to us?
It was draft form. I think I sent you a link previously to the portions of it were released. The draft form, I believe, just came out a few months ago. And then now I believe it's almost in final form, or if not final form, but it's getting close to.
Are we
that
going to
point.
talk about that at some point in time in a work session
We
or something?
can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information in that report that
That's
I don't
correct.
Are you talking
understand.
about the GMD report, or are you talking about
The red labeled one, the one he sent us this morning,
Friday?
this Friday?
Last Friday, the GMD one.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're talking about,
I worked all weekend, so I didn't look at my email.
yeah. I think you're talking about like the master water plan.
Yeah, the master
for
water
us.
plan.
Yeah.
Okay, that
For
was the
City
one
of
for
Dodge
PEC.
City,
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We will.
Yeah, there's just a ton of information in there.
There is.
Yes.
And I don't understand this much of it, so.
Absolutely.
So, just to make sure, we own 11,000 acre feet.
Correct.
We are,
Well, we own more than, right at 11,000. Ray, you want to come up, or Corey? I think that'd be best from a technical
Yeah,
perspective
I get you.
in regards to this.
Currently, the city owns 11,000 plus acre feet of water for municipal use. during the perfection time from way back when to current, we were able to perfect roughly 7,300 acre feet of those rights. And so there's 3,300 that are ours that we can't really pump in any one time just because of the rules and regulations from DWR. We also have approximately 1,500 additional acre feet of irrigation rights that are in standby for when we need them for some other use.
Ray, what system would you, going down the road, you get this water available to you, the south system, is that what?
Yeah, it would go into the south system and actually probably tie into the raw water line coming from the south well field.
Okay.
And then it comes in.
Blend with that.
Blend in with that and then get chlorinated at the chlorination building near the racetrack and then push into the system. That also sets us up for some other future.
Big user.
Other user in the south end of town, or some other, if some other regulations happen to come by and we have to do some other treatment to the water system before we put it in the distribution system.
Gotcha.
Of the water rights we have developed, this may be a Corey question. How much of those rights are we pumping each year as a percent? Are we utilizing 80% of what we've developed, 90%? I know it changes daily, but what does the overall number look like?
It really just depends on the year, but if I had to throw a number out there, I would say we average probably 90 to 95% usage, within the year, so.
What, in terms of growth, maybe over a 20-year period, I know the plan talked about a 20-year forecast of water needs, but how has our water use trended over the past 20 years?
Are you talking about static water levels or?
Just
usage?
historic usage.
Really usage for residential.
Yeah, usage has gone up quite a bit. I mean, there's been quite a few houses that have been added on, and that. So I'd say,
Per capita, though.
Yeah, I don't have that number right off the top of my head, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in, we're talking about what potential growth we would need in the next 20 years, and that's leveraged pretty hard against industrial use. I'd be interested on how that number compares to what things looked like over the past 20 years.
I would say, 10 years ago, we were pumping a total of 2 billion gallons a year, and we're 2.9 billion gallons last year. So,
Gotcha.
and that increase has continued to be consistent throughout the year. So even on years like last year, that was a wet year.
Corey, I'm trying to struggle that from information I read this afternoon. I don't know if it's 150 gallons per household per day or per person in a household per day. Do you know?
It's per person.
It's
yeah.
per person per household.
Yeah.
So if you had, like my house, we would have that expectation of using 300 gallons every day.
Yes.
And I think Hayes I looked it up, was 95 gallons per day in the same ratio. So two people would be 190 gallons.
Yeah. Hayes has pretty strict water conservation
Yeah.
regulations. So.
We would save roughly 30% of our pumping if we had as strict as Hayes has, basically. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it kind of sounds like.
I think the other thing we need to keep in mind is our pumping rates in the summertime versus our average daily rate for a portion of the year. What is the difference from, say, an average day to what we typically see during a peak period of pumping in the summertime?
Total with National Beef, Hillmar, all residents, everything included, we're around 7 million a day in the winter. And, currently we're hitting 11 or 12. So you can say most of that's irrigation at this point.
I guess, how well have we looked at this route? Like, utility-wise, things along the route, is the county, going to say yay, nay, or we're going to have to go out and acquire easements? Have we explored all, other options with water rights that are closer? I mean, I'm not saying this is not a good deal, but just,
There will have to take some study to look at the preferred path, because there is multiple paths we could potentially take. I think it's just going to come down to ultimately what is the most efficient route. And one of the things we talked about is to bring in and do some preliminary engineering in regards to it. If we do acquire these rights, we're going to have to do that preliminary engineering, so we're ahead of the game. We have looked at what potential for additional rights are along the route, so you could look on the highway route, or you could look on Saddle Road as being a possibility, or even Ridge Road. Saddle Road is a county road. County has typically allowed us to utilize their right-of-way for infrastructure improvements and for location of our utilities. Not concerned. We probably end up having to have at least one pump station along the way, just to help get that water to that final line, but we may not. It just kind of really depends on the sizing of the well, the pumps, and the volume that we have going. So there's a lot of preliminary engineering that'll have to be done once we know that this is the path we're moving towards. But just looking at it from a 10,000 type foot view, it doesn't look like there's any huge obstacles in the potential location of what that line would be, or even the wells themselves.
In terms of due diligence on additional water rights closer to Dodge City, what due diligence have we completed in that process?
So in regards to the rights that are closer, you have to look at it a multitude of different ways. You have to look at the willing seller. Is there a willing seller? You have to look at volume of water, water quality, and we have been presented numerous times with water rights to the city over the past 5-6 years since I've been here. The problem we've had is there's been wells that have been significantly high in sulfates, high in nitrates, not have the quality or quantity of water, so they may be willing to sell 90 acre feet or 100 acre feet, but the economics is just not there to develop a $1.5 million well for 90 acre feet. You really have to have 2 or 3 wells, whether it be 300 to 500 acre feet within that general vicinity, in order to truly make the economics work in our favor. Also, we have to look at location of our existing utility infrastructure. Where's that located in conjunction with these potential for water rights? So there's a lot of factors that come into play, but every time that the opportunity has came up to purchase us, or someone's approached us, we've done everything we can to look at those water rights and assess what the value is. Some of them are willing to sell you their water rights, but they want an extravagant amount of money up front for them. And so, and most time it doesn't come with the land. If it came with the land and we had availability to utilize the land for expansion or for industrial development, that's a consideration we take under as we're looking at those water rights as well. But as far as just having individuals come forth to us, it's very hit and miss. And so, and we don't typically go out there and ask to purchase their water rights. They typically come to us when it comes time for them to look at selling. But we've always been very open and willing to look at any water right within, a certain geographic area. And the more water rights they have in a very close area, we're definitely going to pay a lot more attention to those. And so that's kind of the approach we've taken. And prior to me, I think it's been the exact same even before I got here, when they were looking at like the Jurstead water rights. So we've purchased several years ago. They have a significant number of water rights in one general area, where that's 3 water rights that could be consolidated into 1 or 2 wells to get you the pumping capacity to make the economics work. Unfortunately for those water rights, they tend to be high in nitrates in that area, so that is a concern of us, because then there's additional treatment costs that have to take place. When we looked at the purchase of the Harshberger water rights just recently, there was 3 water rights basically very close to one another, and I believe it was 5, almost 600 acre feet of water rights that we purchased in conjunction with National Beef, and that makes sense because The northern right, we have water wells or water rights right next to it, which we could combine those two rights for one well. And the economics work is also the water line that we have, raw water line runs right next to those properties on the same roadway. And so there's just a lot of different factors we have to take in consideration when looking at these water rights in our area. And we do know there's nitrate plumes in certain portions of the area, typically more in the southeast portion of Dodge City. And then we have sulfates along the river, especially when you start getting to the west side of town. And there's just a myriad of different issues. And then the last thing that comes into play is if there's water rights, then you have to look at what the soil conditions are, how much pumping capacity there is as well. So you may have 200 or 300 acre feet of water rights available, but you may only be able to pump them at 100 to 200 GPM. The economics aren't there necessarily to run that well either. And so there's just a lot of different scenarios that we have to go through in due diligence. This set of water rights that we're looking at tonight, and also the Harshberger, that was a 2-year process for each one. That's how long we took from the time that initial contact was made with us, and we did our due diligence, tested, looked at everything, took it under consideration, looked at all the different options, at least high level of the economics, just to ensure that it did make sense from a longevity purpose for us to continue pursuing those rights.
And just for the sake of everybody watching, the financial aspects of where this money is being generated from to make this purchase?
It's the water fund. So the water fund, we're currently sitting at a large balance because we know that we have water projects coming up. We were looking at the Managed Aquifer Recharge project for quite a bit. We're still looking at, but it'll probably be a much smaller scale. And it's with a known entity. It's with the North Wastewater Treatment Facility. That's predominantly a wastewater project and not a water project. But it could, we talked about using portions of our water fund because of the water rights that were going to come with the MAR project. Because at the time, we were looking at basically acquiring 4,000 acre feet of water rights through that project. That project is not happening in that scope anymore. And so the water fund has money set aside for water right purchase, development of wells, additional water lines. Typically, so we can, the way it's set up now, we could pay up the 25% down and still do $2.5 to $3.5 million of the projects over the next 10 years out of the water fund, just with the way it's set up, without necessarily going into our reserves very far.
And the consumer really doesn't see an impact of this purchase. I mean, they're not going to see a big increase in their cost of water or anything to make this purchase?
No, we're committed, and one of the things that we're trying to avoid is that water treatment facility sometime down the road, which may come to fruition, maybe 20 years down the road, 30 years. But with the way the regulations are now, we know we can work around it, especially with purchase of good water rights that are lower in nitrates, lower in those contaminants, secondary contaminants that are being looked at. And so we know that gives us a lot more options for a longer term vision. The one thing that's going to bite everyone if it were to come to fruition, and there's been a little bit of talk but not very much, is going from a level 10 nitrates down to a 5 nitrate level. That is be something that'll be a universal huge change across the whole United States, and you're talking trillions of dollars that would need to be spent across the United States, not for Dodge City necessarily, but our portion, honestly, for a water treatment facility of the capacity, it could be anywhere from 70 million to 140 million. I mean, we're talking a huge investment. So if we can prolong having to go to those steps by making a $2 million, $10 million purchase, whatever it may be, to offset and buy us additional years, staff think that's a good move to try to keep us. And a portion of these water wells are at 2-3 nitrates, which is a very low nitrate number. And the softness of the water rights, they're anywhere from 250, I think, to 350, which is a really, really soft water for Dodge City. People don't understand.
My 480 at my house.
And we have wells that are 700
Yeah.
you know, at times. So we have some pretty hard water
Yeah.
around the city of Dodge City.
Any other questions for Nick?
Again, could you speak to, so we've heard all the considerations. We're looking at a purchase here that would almost increase our access by 50% of what we're currently using per acre foot wise or acre feet wise. Why this magnitude of this purchase? And why are these the right water rights for us to buy versus continuing to grab smaller tidbits along the way?
There's not very often do you have an opportunity to purchase such a large amount of water rights in a very small geographical area with one property owner. Typically, you're having, when it comes time to buy water rights, you're getting these smaller 260 and smaller type water rights that are being presented to you, and they may not all fit together. So from the economics of looking at it, having a large amount of water in a very small geographic area, when we looked at the total infrastructure cost, the cost of the wells and to build the wells and the cost of the water rights, you're talking it could be in that $7,000 to $8,000 acre foot cost, all-in cost. We have wells that are, or water rights that are close to the city that are in that 260 range. If we were to develop a well, say in that 260 or 190 range, to develop that well, even if it's within a half a mile of the city's main water line, that water right could be a $18,000 per acre foot cost. So when you're starting to look at, you know, the efficiencies and the effectiveness, it makes a lot more sense to deal with one property owner with a very large amount of rights with proven water capability rather than trying to chase a whole bunch of smaller ones. But this also gives us the opportunity to have a known location with known water rights. Then we can start picking up those smaller water rights along that route, that preferred route, and not have as big of infrastructure costs. And then I'll just honestly over time even lower it potentially even more for us for those long-term expenditures. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve the water rights contract sale with JR Farms and Reiner Partnerships in purchasing 3,732 acre feet.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? Seeing no second, I think tonight, and based off information that I've received, I would like to table this and review it some more and just make sure that we're doing the right thing for our citizens and wait till we have a full commission and make sure that everybody's had the chance to have been heard in the public and or make sure that we look into every cost in the route and things like that on my end of it.
We have the rough cost on the route already. We know what those costs are based upon water lines that we've done. So, if there's additional engineering type information you need, I just need to know what those are. But we do have the rough cost estimate of what it's going to be based upon what our existing new wells are costing versus how much it costs per a mile for water lines.
Right.
And I think historically, we've never really had that information, down to the penny on purchasing water rights. You look at the water rights we just purchased in December, this is a purchase that's significantly under per acre foot for what we purchased in December. So I don't know how you get any better pricing. We've bought water rights significantly higher than this also. Because we wanted something else, land or something, but I don't think you're ever going to get to a point where you're going to know exactly all the cost. I think if you just look at the map, from what I've seen, the wells along some of the routes, there's a significant amount of water rights available that would be within very short distances. to add on to the system. So this is a 50-year purchase. You know, this is setting the community up for 50 years. We're probably not going to fully utilize any of these water rights for a significant amount of years. But what you're doing is in 20 years, you're giving the commission the ability to make decisions that aren't going to be financially impacting to the citizens of the community at that time. Also, in the next 5 to 10 years, in fact, the purchases that we made of water rights significantly played a role in getting Hillmar here. Had those water rights not had been purchased in the first few years that I came on the commission, a company like Hillmar wouldn't have even looked at us, because that's one of the very first things that's checked off the box. If they're a water user, do you have water available? And right now, we have another industrial user that would probably like to grow in the community, but achieving water at several hundred acre feet a time isn't going to be financially available for them. And then if you do have a large purchase like this, boy, what a better way to partner with an industry that comes in the community and needs a significant amount of water rights, to have them cost share in your development cost of your piping, the pumping, and all those things. If you don't have that available to you, you're going to miss that opportunity. And I know there isn't going to be any purchase where you're going to know exactly the cost of every single thing in the track. I think what you have to look about is the acre per foot cost, the availability of it, and the routing that we can achieve, and possibly even when we get to that 40, 50-year mark, how many more options we can have of water available to us. And as Mr. Hernandez said, you can start picking off those smaller amounts of water rights, and you'll have a lot more leverage on our side, because we don't necessarily need the water rights. We're not going to be in desperation of needing water, because this kind of pricing per acre foot isn't going to be available to you if you're desperate for water. So it doesn't bother me making the purchase with the unknowns that we just don't know, because we're never going to know all those unknowns.
Right.
I think for me, what has been interesting over the last couple of weeks is the number of phone calls that I've gotten. Just, hey, this is a big purchase. Why are we purchasing this many? Why the price? And I frankly didn't feel like I could have a conversation with constituents about it until we got the water master plan this last Friday. And, you know, hey, review this, look at it. And I guess I feel like this is a big scoop. This is $10 million of the $90 million worth of projects we saw on the list. This is one that is not going to be able to be cost shared with government, you know, federal or state funding. I too would just like to take a pause and maybe have a work session on that water master plan. And that way the community and the commission really feel like, hey, here's our historical use. That was kind of the first element that I wrote down. 2, here is what the water plan says. 3, here is the due diligence we've done on these water rights. Number 4, in economic and in very certain terms, this is why staff thinks this is the right purchase. Number 5, here is what we believe the development costs are going to be versus water treatment. Because we do have 1,200, 1,500 acre feet sitting on the shelf that could be used if we had water treatment. And then number 6, this is how we're going to pay for it. And I feel like if we could take a 1-hour work session to go through that, whether that be next week or in 2 weeks, or whether that be the first meeting in July, then we all have a good amount of information we can provide to the public, we can provide to constituents to really lean against and say, yes, this is a good decision, this is a good price, and this is how we move forward to take care of Dodge City's water needs for the next 20 to 50 years.
Is there a time frame that this offer is good for? I mean, if we're already run past that, if if I've read through the contract. We have a July 1 closing time frame. We need 30 days prior to July 1, if I'm understanding the contract terms.
I'd have to visit with the seller and see if he's still willing to proceed with this cost.
I mean, that's a risk you take, is the risk you take. You've already delayed it a couple of times.
Delayed it once.
And whether or not this price is still going to be available to us afterwards, I guess that's a risk.
There,
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to table this action to the June 15th, 2026 City Commission meeting.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. We'll continue this. Motion carries 2-1 on continuing. Next up, we have new business. First item is approve the proposal of repairs to concrete and associated pipe because of the anaerobic number 4 failure. Report by Ray Slattery, Director of Engineering.
Mayor and Commissioners, tonight I'm asking your approval of the proposal from UCI for the repairs of the concrete paving, retaining walls of aerobic and anaerobic number 4, some associated pipe work, and an increase in labor costs of one of the subcontractors from 2024 to 2026, not to exceed $1 million. As we all know, with the failure of anaerobic number 4, we had some ground support improvements performed by GSI in both the anaerobic and aerobic. To make that happen, we had to remove concrete of the two lagoons, both not only the floor but also the slope paving. The ground improvement has been completed, and so now that needs to be repaired. There's also a large portion of the floor and the slope paving of anaerobic 4 that needs to be removed and replaced in the immediate area of where the washout happened. This pavement has settled, has cracked, and has lost its integrity, and has deflections. There's also a section of what we call the W15 pipe. It's a 10-inch pipe that ran through the area that washed out. This pipe fell into the void once it occurred and will need to be replaced. And then there's a price increase from one of the subcontractors for the 2 years that they've been waiting to do their work. And I have a breakdown of each one of those items. To repair the concrete in aerobic 4 is about $113,650. Repair the concrete and retaining walls in anaerobic number 4 is $616,364. We have to redo the seepage test in anaerobic number 4. That's $65,354. To replace that pipe segment is $57,105. And then there's a $62,260 price increase for labor for these past 2 years. The total cost of this proposal is $914,737.22. I am requesting that an extra $85,265 be approved to cover any unforeseen items that come up during this process. This will keep the repairs moving and prevent delays in getting anaerobic number 4 operational, which is the total goal of this whole project at this time. Otherwise, the work would need to be halted. I'd have to wait for a change order, to present a change order to you, and then get that approved, and then keep moving forward. There are funds available in the wastewater fund to cover this. And with that, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions you may have. I believe this is the last item I will be bringing in front of you for the repairs of the anaerobic number 4 failure.
Ray, UCI is the general contractor for the overall project, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And do you anticipate progress billings on this work? Or is this going to be due at the end of the project, once the project is operational and the facility is working as?
On this phase here, they'll be asking for progress payments.
How long will this work take?
This work here, I think all totaled is about 14 to 16 weeks. There's also some, the cover will take a bit longer, and that's the cover over the anaerobic lagoon.
Any other questions for Ray?
Yeah, I move that we approve the purchase or the proposal from UCI for repairs of the anaerobic in number 4 for the pipe work and increase in labor cost and an amount not to exceed $1 million.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll begrudgingly second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Mayor, Commissioners, we are in a severe thunderstorm warning. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. So if you start hearing some craziness outside, you'll know why.
Okay. Next up is proposal for repairs for 4-bowl rooftop unit HVAC at United Wireless Arena. Report by Kevin Israel, Director of Facilities.
Evening, gentlemen. Staff recommends the approval for the proposal from Glassman Corporation to perform the mechanical and control system repairs to the bowl units at the United Wireless Arena for a total of $553,673. As you guys know, these 4 units are the main units on that system, and they do require substantial repairs. We did get 4 proposals came in. And of those 4 proposals, the review committee recommends the approval of Glassman Corporation. It is funded through the Why Not Dodge Depreciation and Replacement Fund, and there are sufficient funds in that account. Due to the complexity of the project, we would recommend a 15% contingency allowance, and that would put the total cost at $636,723.95. This does meet the core values of safety and ongoing improvement. There's no legal concerns, and in your packet, we did have the bid tab and the letter of recommendation from the review committee. Do you have any questions?
Who's going to do continuing maintenance on this facility once we get it finished?
So that will be the next part after we get the approval, hopefully, on this. Then we will put together a maintenance agreement where we will have outside contractors come in to do the maintenance, because it will be a very strict schedule on the maintenance for these units, so we don't get back to where we're at now. And then we will oversee that to make sure it's actually getting done.
What in just a high level, it has failed on the system to get us to this point?
Multiple things. So there's been so many alterations done since the beginning that it's hard to tell exactly what's causing all the problems. Now, there's several things that we've done the investigation and found exactly what's going on with certain parts of it, but so a lot of it is compressors, reheat coils, controllers. A lot of it's going to be the programming side, and controllers is a pretty healthy amount of money in there. But you got to remember, these are 160-ton units. They're the size of semi-trucks sitting on that roof, so they don't just run on one compressor like a system you would think at your house, or even on most of these RTUs here. There's multiple compressors inside each one of those, and for us to purchase those, they're $20-some thousand a piece. So
There was some conversation at some point in time that if Freon was introduced or some chemical was introduced into the thing, the whole unit would need to be replaced, and those are millions of dollars, right?
Right. So we did have a proposal from Trane to replace all 4 units for $2.75 million. So that you can get kind of an idea there of what each unit would cost us. But yes, so on a mechanical system like this, if you expose any of that, the oil, Freon, those types of things to the atmosphere, it's contaminated and it will become acidic. And so some of that is what's happened here. Maybe somebody doing service work or repairs along the line didn't take the right precautions before opening those systems, so.
But Glassman's have come in and looked the units over, and they think that that's not going to be an issue in the future, or right, in this repair?
Right. So with this repair, they will be adding filters that will actually take the acidity levels out of any of the oil in Freon, and what's in there currently will be pulled out, cleaned, and then brand new will be put back in. Yes, so if you do have 4 compressors, they all share the same oil. If one's contaminated, eventually all 4 would be.
Gotcha.
And that is in their scope of work.
How much time does this buy us before we have a full replacement of all 4 units?
So we're hoping to get 15 more years out of these. We're sitting about 15 right now. But what this does for us is we will be able to monitor these, and hopefully not all 4 of them will die at the same time. You know, hopefully at that point we can plan for 1 at a time and make that a little bit easier on us.
Any other questions for Kevin or any action item or any action on this item?
I think one thing I need to bring the commission's attention is we do have a master HVAC plumber on staff, and a lot of what we're seeing and fixing out there would not be possible without having that individual on staff, because he is saving us a tremendous amount of money, him and along with our master electrician as well. I mean, those 2 gentlemen have done so much in a very short amount of time. We've got a long ways to go, got a lot of facilities, but they have saved us a tremendous amount of money, and that's why this bid is what it is versus being a $2 million plus bid, is with having that expertise on staff.
And our original estimate to do this amount of work with a little bit less work on the programming and control side was $628,000. So we've actually been able to bring that number down over the last year by making some of our own in-house repairs. So, and I don't want anybody to think that these are the only 4 units that operate that whole building. There's many more. These are just the main large.
These are the bowl area.
Right. Yeah. So the others, cover locker rooms, offices, the conference center, things like that. So there will be more, but we can handle those at a much easier pace.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the proposal from Glassman Corporation in the amount of $553,673.
With the additional contingency?
Let's see.
With an additional contingency up to a total project cost of $636,723.95.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Up next, we have approval for the bid for repainting the exterior of the slides at the Long Branch Lagoon, along with the optional protection plan. Report by Daniel Cecil, Parks and Rec Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm requesting your approval of a bid from Safeside Restorations in the amount of $82,003 for the repainting of the exterior of the slides at Long Branch Lagoon, along with an optional protection plan in the amount of $39,308 for a total request of $121,311. As we continue to evaluate facilities, staff identified that the exterior of the slides at Long Branch Lagoon need to be repainted to help protect the fiberglass surfaces from deterioration. A request for proposals was put out soliciting a contractor to help complete the proper surface preparation to paint, including removal of the old chipping paint residue, apply a polysloxane coating that can also withstand water treatment chemicals, and reapply paint at a mill thickness recommended by a manufacturer, as well as a 2-year warranty. 3 bids were received for the project. Safe Slide Restorations is the recommended contractor based on their ability to complete those things that I just recommended to you. In addition to doing that, they can also make the necessary substrate repairs and provide a 5-year warranty covering the paint and gel coat against abnormal fading and failure. The protection plan includes a one-time visit by the contractor to repair gouges, chips in the ride surface, as well as caulk the seams as needed to prevent excessive water loss in the slides. They'd also wax the entire ride surface of all the slides, as well as polish the start tubs and the exit of every slide. On May 12th, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board reviewed the proposals and recommended the approval of Safe Slide Restorations to repaint the exterior as well as perform the protection plan, as well as the Community Facilities Advisory Board did the same approval and recommendation at their May 19th meeting. This is a budgeted project with $130,000 being available in the Capital Improvement Fund to cover these costs. I believe you have bid tabulations and the proposals from the companies, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Daniel?
Daniel, I feel like we just did this in the last 3 to 5 years.
2022.
We waxed them though, right?
No, we painted
You
them.
serviced them.
And I think part of what our problem is, they came in the wintertime and we had a snowstorm. They did all the site prep, came back, didn't re-prep again, kept painting. We only had a 1-year warranty at that time. About 18 months later, we were starting to see some chipping of the paint in that. I called them, they said, oh, we only had a 1-year warranty, sorry. So that's why I kind of stressed the warranty in this one as well and want to run with that 5-year this time. So we just didn't get good adhesion is what we kind of feel like. And this would be done in the fall after the conclusion of this 2026 season, repainting those slides if approved. So that's what I'm hoping to get it done when the weather's a little more conducive to allow the paint to adhere and do what we need it to do.
And my presumption is you have not selected the same vendor as you did 5 years ago?
Correct.
Any other questions for Daniel? Any action on this item?
Just stating this is budgeted expense, right?
Correct.
Yep.
You're all right, make a motion to approve the bid from Side Restorations in the amount of $121,311.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Up next, we have the approval for bid for awning cover repairs at Legends Ballpark. Report by Daniel Cecil.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm requesting your approval of a bid from Diamond Roofing in the amount of $26,540 for repairs to the awning covers over the seating of fields 1 and 4 at Legends Ballpark. In August of 2025, we had a pretty strong storm move through and tore up our awning covers over those 2 fields, field 1 and field 4 at Legends Ballpark. Tearing up the existing polygal, the metal stripping that holds them in place, and doing quite a bit of damage. Since this would be the 4th time that we're looking at replacing this, staff is recommending that we go with a metal covering this time to try to increase that longevity into the future. So we were able to acquire 2 bids from local companies, with Diamond Roofing being the low bid, to come in and remove the rest of the existing roof panels, cut to length 26-gauge roll form metal sheets, to install and then install trim around all 4 sides of each structure. They could begin this work just after the conclusion of our youth baseball, softball tournament season in July. On May 12th, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board reviewed and recommended the approval of this bid from Diamond Roofing, as well as the Community Facility Advisory Board at their May 19th meeting. These funds, we would have to move funds around and reallocate money for this, since this is a non-budgeted expense. So some things would be moved to 27 or moved back to help cover the cost of this, and we would need to look at budgeting in 27 to replace the other 2 awnings then.
You got room in the budget in 27?
We should.
You have to do the dugouts and all that too at some point.
That's the
right?
hope is with the panels that we have existing on the rest of them, we can take those down and redo the dugouts with that polygal, because that's what's on there now is the old stuff, so we would just kind of redo that, and we feel like we could do that in-house versus having a company come in and do that.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the bid from Diamond Roofing in the amount of $26,540 for the awning covers on fields 1 and 4 at Legends Ballpark.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Up next, we have approval of an LOI with the Dodge City Destination Development LLC, report by.
I think we got number 5, Your
Sorry,
Honor.
skip, yep. Up next, we have approval of US 400, US 283 traffic impact study and preliminary design letter agreement, report by Tanner Richmond, city engineer.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Tonight I'm presenting the letter agreement with Olson for the US 283 and 400 traffic impact study and preliminary design on the city's 80-acre parcel. This letter agreement provides for professional services to complete the traffic study required by KDOT and the preliminary design for utility and rough grading for our 80-acre parcel that's adjacent to Hillmar Cheese. To develop a site like this adjacent to the state highway system, you have to complete, KDOT requires the completion of a traffic impact study to identify improvements along the highway corridor to service the facility and provide access to the development. This, as you know, the city owns an 80-acre parcel there in the southeast quadrant of that highway intersection where the roundabout is. And we have a prospective development that is wanting to be located on the site. But in order to help facilitate that development, the city is looking to move forward on this traffic impact study with KDOT and the preliminary design for utilities and rough grading so that it can help get that development going. And it would be a potential reimbursement and an agreement with that developer as part of the sale of a parcel for their development. So KDOT, of course, requires these access permits to improve their highway. So that's what the traffic impact study will do for us. And as part of that, also will collect traffic data, project traffic volumes going to and from the site based on what we would anticipate to be developed on a full build-out of the facility. So as part of that, we'll plat, and that preliminary design will plat the 80 acres so that it would have developable lots and rough in where the utility layout would be, and rough grade the site for drainage. And this would help this prospective development and spur other future interest in the facility. But it's the first step in advancing the site to make it ready for development. And of course, we try to get those costs reimbursed in any sale of parcels for development in the future. But the overall cost for the traffic impact study and the preliminary design from Olson is $132,322. It would come from the Growth and Development Fund initially until it could be reimbursed. But it's staff's recommendation to approve the agreement with Olson and scope of services pending the review of the city attorney. Be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Tanner?
You want to make a motion that we approve the Olson agreement for the traffic study amount of $132,322.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, raise your right hand. Same sign for those opposed. Motion carries 4-0. Last up, we have the approval now of the LOI with Dodge City Destination Development LLC, report by Nick Hernandez, City Manager.
Mayor and Commission, this is a non-binding letter of intent with Dodge City Destination Development to basically start work on a development agreement It does lay out what is included in the retail project, looking at 380,000 square feet of new retail and commercial activity. That includes big box junior acre stores, restaurants, and hotels, and some smaller shops and some pad site users. The sales tax to be generated would be utilized for a Star Bond district in the existing entertainment district, which is located out by the casino. The area that's west of Highway 50, which is the entertainment area, they're looking at the utilizing the proceeds from the Glow Hotel, which is under construction, plus an additional second hotel, 4 fast casual fast food restaurants on that side, a 40,000 square foot bowling venue, 15,000 square foot Hasbro Skywalker Ranch attraction, a 100 space RV park and glamping area, which they are working with a local developer on that project. And then potential for additional funding for the racetrack museum, and then road and infrastructure improvements. What the city would get out of there, they'd help fund the public improvements. Of course, we would get all the retail and entertainment users. The East Comanche Street upgrades, they would actually help fund those to the tune of about $10 million, which I think currently the entire project is sitting around $12-13 million for the East Comanche, for a connection basically from US 50 to 14th Avenue, and being a really high level, separated boulevard type facility. What we do basically from this is, this will allow them to go out and start drafting the full development agreement. All the due diligence costs are going to be developers' responsibility, which we've already started that work with the funding agreement. So we have a fund of $25,000 set up, established. They reimburse themselves. So every time we have to pay for legal fees or consultant fees, that actually is paid for by the developer, and we're reimbursed for that. And then we'll have to work with the Kansas Department of Commerce and with you, of course, City Commission, to approve the final plan. But everything's been moving forward. Hope is to have this completed and grand opening of all the facilities within 40 months is kind of the plan, which seems like a long time, but we have construction starting within 16 months is the goal. There is a pretty significant amount of time just to get all the LOIs converted to leases and then start the construction process. So that is going to take some time. Outside of that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Are there any questions for Nick? Any action?
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to approve the non-binding LOI with Dodge City Destinations LLC.
Motion. I'll second that motion. Motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. We have no other business. Staff reports.
See, Mayor and Commissioners, we had Emma Trejo here just a little while ago. She is our summer intern with us. And then additionally, we have 2 items. We have the Public Officials Exchange, which is Thursday evening in Buckland. And then we also have the Main Street Festival this Saturday from 10 to 3. That's all I have.
Nicole? Paige?
Nothing for me.
Melissa? Anybody else? Connie? This time I'd seek a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.